Ladies, let's clear up one of the biggest lies we've been told. That to make a man love you, you have to be endlessly nice, sweet, accommodating, always available. But let me ask you, has that ever truly worked? There's this toxic belief floating around that if you give a man everything he wants, if you're constantly agreeable and put his needs above your own, he'll appreciate you more. But the truth is, it doesn't earn you love. It earns you exhaustion. Yes, kindness is a beautiful trait. Compassion is admirable. But when kindness turns into people-pleasing, when you silence your needs just to keep the peace, you don't win love. You lose yourself. Too many women are taught from a young age to be polite, accommodating, and emotionally available at all times. We're raised to prioritize harmony over honesty, to make others comfortable even when we're uncomfortable ourselves. And while these traits may help us avoid short-term conflict, they can also pave the road to long-term resentment. People-pleasing doesn't wear a single face. It shows up in countless quiet sacrifices. It's saying yes when you desperately want to say no. It's smiling through discomfort just to avoid confrontation. It's putting someone else's happiness above your own, even when it drains you. And in relationships, this becomes especially dangerous. Some women fall into the trap of believing that if they're agreeable enough, supportive enough, or selfless enough, they'll win a man's heart. That if they just keep giving, he'll finally see their worth. But that mindset teaches the wrong lesson to both you and your partner. It sends the signal that your value lies only in what you do, not in who you are. Here's the brutal reality. People-pleasing might buy temporary approval, but it costs you your long-term self-worth. Eventually, constantly giving and rarely receiving leads to burnout. It chips away at your confidence. You start doubting your own needs. And worse, you start feeling guilty just for having needs. And guess what? The more you give, the more people take, often without even realizing it. Relationships become lopsided, where one person is always reaching and the other is always receiving. That's not love, that's imbalance. And let's talk about the emotional toll. When you're always putting others first, your own identity starts to fade. You become a background character in your own life, living only to serve the happiness of someone else. That kind of emotional sacrifice breeds resentment, slowly, quietly, but deeply. One of the sneakiest dangers of people-pleasing is its impact on communication. When you're always trying to be agreeable, you often bite your tongue. You avoid tough conversations. You let things slide that shouldn't slide. And over time, that silence builds into walls. Walls that block intimacy, trust, and connection. But here's the truth you need to embrace. Saying no doesn't make you difficult. Setting boundaries doesn't make you selfish. They make you strong. They make you worthy. They make you real. And real love only exists between two people who respect each other's limits. If someone can't handle your honesty, they don't deserve your loyalty. When you start protecting your peace, when you speak your truth, and when you choose yourself, something powerful happens. You stop attracting people who only want to take. You start attracting people who respect, value, and honor the full, authentic you. Remember this. True relationships are not built on sacrifice. They're built on balance. You deserve to be loved for your strength, not just your sweetness. For your voice, not your silence. For your boundaries, not your blind loyalty. Self-respect isn't just a virtue, it's your foundation, and any love worth having will be built on top of it, not in place of it. In the last part, we uncovered the harsh truth about people-pleasing, how it chips away at your identity and makes you invisible in your own story. Now let's go deeper into the heart of it all, self-respect, the quiet strength that reclaims your power and reminds you that you are already enough. Maintaining self-respect begins with recognizing your own worth, especially in a world that constantly tells women they must be flawless in order to be loved. It's no surprise that many lose sight of the truth that their value does not depend on anyone's approval. It's not tied to a man's affection or society's impossible standards. It exists because you exist. For women who carry insecurities or have felt the sting of rejection, it's easy to fall into the belief that love must be earned. They begin to measure their worth by how much they can give, how many sacrifices they're willing to make, or how well they meet someone else's expectations. But love isn't a trophy you win by bending over backward. Your worth is not conditional. Self-respect means standing tall in your own identity. It means refusing to shrink yourself to fit inside someone else's ideal. Especially in dating, it's about resisting the urge to become what you think a man wants, just to keep him interested. Because every time you compromise your values, your needs, or your boundaries for someone else's comfort, you send yourself a silent message. I don't matter. And that message chips away at your soul, piece by piece. True self-respect is honoring your own beliefs and living in alignment with your values, even when it's uncomfortable. It's showing up as your full, unapologetic self and believing that you are worthy just as you are. But it doesn't stop there. Self-respect also means setting boundaries, those invisible but powerful lines that protect your emotional, mental, and physical well-being. Boundaries aren't barriers. They aren't walls meant to keep people out. They're invitations to healthy connection, where both people can exist as equals, with mutual understanding and care. Without boundaries, relationships lose balance. People, even the kindest ones, can unintentionally overstep. That's why boundaries are so important. Not to push people away, but to make space for respect to grow. Yes, setting boundaries can be scary, especially when you're vulnerable or fear rejection. Many women have been raised to be accommodating, to say yes even when their hearts scream no. But constantly ignoring your own feelings just to keep the peace, that's not love. That's self-abandonment. Respecting yourself means having the courage to say no, to speak up when something doesn't feel right, to ask for what you need without guilt. It's not about being inflexible. It's about protecting your peace. It's about ensuring you are in a relationship that honors your identity, not erases it. A relationship should never be one-sided. Love should not feel like a performance where one person gives endlessly while the other takes without pause. Healthy love thrives when both people communicate openly, listen deeply, and respect each other's limits. When you set and honor your boundaries, you're making a bold declaration. My needs matter too. And when you don't, you risk teaching others that they don't have to value you either. Another critical act of self-respect, knowing when to walk away. Far too often, people, especially women, stay in relationships that do not serve them. They stay where they feel ignored, disrespected, or underappreciated. Why? Because walking away feels terrifying. The fear of being alone is louder than the pain of staying. But here's the truth. Staying in a relationship where your needs are dismissed is far lonelier than being single. Respecting yourself means refusing to settle. If a man doesn't value you, doesn't prioritize you, or continuously takes you for granted, then he's not your person. Staying in that dynamic doesn't prove your loyalty. It proves you've forgotten your worth. And that's a form of self-sabotage. You deserve more than someone who tolerates your presence. You deserve someone who cherishes it. And if that person isn't him, then you walk, head held high, dignity intact. Because walking away isn't weakness, it's wisdom. Recognizing when a relationship no longer serves your highest good is one of the most courageous things you can do. It requires brutal honesty with yourself. Is this relationship helping you grow? Or is it dimming your light? Is it nourishing your soul? Or slowly draining it? Sometimes self-respect looks like standing firm even when everyone else wants you to bend. Maybe it's pressure to move too fast, to change who you are, or to stay silent when your heart wants to scream. But every time you choose yourself, even when it's hard, you strengthen the foundation of your self-worth, and you teach others exactly how to treat you. A respectful relationship is not built on silence or compliance. It's built on truth. When you respect yourself, you create space for real connection, where both people can show up honestly, ask for what they need, and offer love without fear or pretense. Let's be clear, self-respect doesn't mean suppressing your feelings or pretending everything's okay when it's not. It means honoring your emotions, expressing them with courage, and knowing that you deserve to be heard, supported, and cared for, just like anyone else. In the end, self-respect is not about being perfect. It's about being real. It's about understanding that your value is not negotiable. It's not up for debate. You are worthy of kindness, compassion, and care. Not because of what you do, but because of who you are. So the next time you feel tempted to silence your voice, to bend your boundaries, or to settle for less, remember this. You teach the world how to treat you by how you treat yourself. It's natural to want your partner to understand and support you. We all crave that emotional alignment, the feeling that someone just gets us. But let's be honest, no one is going to agree with you all the time. And that's not just okay, it's necessary. Healthy relationships aren't about sameness. They're about respect for differences. Disagreements are inevitable. You're two people with different upbringings, thoughts, and emotional wiring, expecting total agreement in every decision, every conversation, and every opinion. That's not love. That's control. When you expect your partner to always take your side or mirror your views, you risk silencing their voice. That stifles personal growth and creates a dynamic where one person dominates while the other fades. Over time, that imbalance breeds quiet resentment. What started as love turns into obligation. The truth is, disagreements, when handled with empathy and respect, can deepen intimacy. They show you how your partner thinks, how they feel, and how they see the world. They allow you to grow together, not just parallel. But that only happens when both people feel safe to express their truth without fear of being shut down. Another trap many couples fall into is the unspoken timeline. You know the one. How long until we're exclusive? When do we meet each other's families? When should we move in, get engaged, get married? These timelines aren't always based on your shared reality. Often they come from outside: culture, family expectations, even social media comparisons. But relationships are not races. They're not checklists. Some people open up quickly, others take time, and there's nothing wrong with either. What matters is communication. You both deserve the space to express where you are emotionally, without being rushed or made to feel behind. Pushing a relationship to move faster than it naturally would only creates stress. One partner may start to feel suffocated, the other insecure. But when both partners feel heard and their pace respected, the relationship has the chance to grow authentically, without the burden of arbitrary deadlines. Let's not forget another form of expectation: how your partner should behave. Maybe you believe love should look like constant texting, big gestures, or verbal affirmations. Maybe your partner shows love through acts of service, quiet consistency, or presence. If you expect their affection to match yours exactly, you may miss out on the beautiful ways they're already loving you. Expecting someone to mirror your style of communication, your way of handling conflict, or your methods of showing love can create unnecessary tension. Instead of saying, "You're not doing enough," ask, "Is this how you express care?" That single shift can turn conflict into connection. People are not mind readers. They are shaped by past relationships, childhood experiences, cultural norms. That's why open dialogue is key. Sit down. Share what makes you feel valued. Listen to what makes them feel seen. You may be surprised by how much love is being offered, just in a different language than yours. Then there's the question of contribution. Who does what? Who gives more? Who carries the emotional weight? It's easy to assume that effort should be 50-50 at all times. But life doesn't always divide evenly. Sometimes one person gives more emotionally, another gives more financially. What matters is that both feel valued and seen for what they contribute. When expectations around effort go unspoken, they often turn into resentment. One partner may feel like they're carrying the relationship. The other may feel unappreciated for the things they do that go unnoticed. That's why talking about roles, emotional, practical, financial, is essential. It's not about keeping score. It's about balance. And balance comes from mutual understanding, not silent assumptions. Ultimately, setting healthy expectations isn't about demanding perfection. It's about embracing the beautifully imperfect, evolving nature of relationships. It's knowing that people change, and that's not a threat. It's an opportunity. What worked in the beginning may need to be renegotiated months or years later, and that's okay. The healthiest relationships aren't built by molding your partner into an ideal image. They're built by accepting each other's humanity, flaws, quirks, growth, and all. When you embrace this, even challenges become bonding moments. You no longer fear conflict because you know how to navigate it. You no longer fear growth because you're growing together. And you no longer rely on unrealistic expectations because you've created a relationship where both partners can breathe. So, as you move forward in love, or in your search for it, remember, don't build your relationship on rigid timelines, silent assumptions, or one-sided demands. Build it on communication, compromise, and mutual care. Set expectations that leave space for both of you to show up honestly. And above all, let those expectations be rooted in respect, not perfection.